All right, I decided it's time to make the Ramcharger one color since I still don't have a engine in it. I'm waiting for the engine. I just pulled it in from the snow. Need the snow to melt. As I've been wiping it off, getting it stripped down, taking labels and things off this way. I'm not going to be doing anything by far of a high quality paint job by any means. But if you look over here, you can see we had this mirror. The 80s style mirror was on this side, but this truck was rolled before. And so the new fenders and this side was a 90s style door that had this mirror. And we want mirrors to match. So I went digging through some old truck parts, found an old bracket like the A. This will mount here. We've already got set nuts put in both sides of the door to hold that. And then this guy will get sanded down and rattle chrome to kind of sort of match. We've already started doing a little bit of prep and sanding on it, but the snow's still up inside, so it's kind of vibrating down things that way. So I need to blow it off to get it good and dry. But I will do a little bit of a step-by-step on it and show the process of this. Maybe do like a 2-weekend kind of thing and see what I can make it look like. Show the back end. That's that. Fire up the DA and start stripping. Had a pretty good dent in this door. We pulled it out. There's the bolt for the mirror. For the trim, you put a piece of tape along this body line, and then I just put a very thin coating of filler from the chrome trim down, and then we pull the tape off so that it will leave the body line exposed. So once it's sanded, it's there. Actually, we're not trying to go for, this is basically a wipe and spray paint job with a little bit of touch-ups just so it's a little bit cleaner. There's a little bit backed off from it. So I had a little surface rust there that turned into being more than surface rust. And then further down, I have another hole. And as I put my finger in, I'm getting a lovely mess of mouse nest. So there's, cut this all out, bend a piece of metal, tack a piece of metal in there. I will decide what direction I'm going to go. All right, so like, I don't know if you saw the previous videos of when this was rolled. This whole side was completely caved in, and I pulled it and I put a little bit of filler on it, and I pulled this side. This is a different door and different fender, and then the top was black, and that's why we just sprayed it with this single stage brown to kind of seal up that bodywork that was literally just a one day. We pulled it, put a couple coats of filler on it. But now it's, you know, it was just a little, it was like a little low right here. And this is totally a drive it to the woods and beat it. I do not want this to be perfect by any means. I'm just going to block sand down. I just did a couple little skins of filler over the top of what was had going on here. You put a piece of tape on this body line, mud up against the tape, and then put another piece of tape and then mud up against it that direction. Now I'll block all this out and get that down. Basically, it's going to be a DA coat and paint. So these trim pieces, after I pulled them, I actually glued them and put them on. So they're just going to get masked off and sprayed. This is, like I said, it's just going to be a quickie. Spray it on, get her done. This side's still clean other than that. Those holes down over there, I've already got them patched. I'm going to put a little filler over that one side. And got to get the filler to dry. My heater's vibrating like crazy, but I'm just going to be on the DA for a few hours, just sanding away. So my repair work down here is far from perfect. The metal was not great, but like I said, I'm doing a fast throw on, so I just have my second pass of mud on it. You can see it's all wavy. I haven't sanded that yet, and honestly, I don't care what it looks like after that. Once I sand that down, that'll be finished. I'm expecting this truck, after it's painted and the new motor's in it, and I'm happy with it and bombing it on the road a lot, I'm probably going to take it to the coating shop and have the lower rockers from the body line down coated and color match the paint that we're going to do. So a little bit of not pretty body work over there, the coating will take care of that just fine. Now I've got sanding and sanding. The rest of this, and there's like a little wave in here. There's a little wave in here. I truly don't care. There was a pretty good dent here. You can see where this has been beat out and pushed. I'm not even taking the grill off. I'm not taking the bumper off. I'm not taking the moldings off. I'm not taking the chrome off. All this is just getting masked. So it's just going to be basically a wipe and spray paint job. I'm just spending a little more time on this side because, like, you know, I said before, the multicolored fenders and door, and where it was rolled, that side was crushed so bad that, well, technically it wasn't rolled. They laid it on its side and had to replace fender door, and this side was all caved in. So it's pushed out just fine. My body line looks just fine. Couple more sandings on it, and then basically I'm going to 220 DA majority of the whole thing, and then Scotch-Brite it, scrub it and clean it, and then it's all going to get pretty much sprayed in one time. I'm just going to prime it and spray it. I am not going to block sand it or prime it and epoxy it and then block sand the primer and then go over the top of that. I fully intend to have this pounding in the woods and driving it in the wintertime and going to the cabin. The idea is just make it look a little better than it does right now. I will get back at it. Well, we have been on the DA and my arms are sore, and honestly I think I'm still fighting this stupid cold because I'm achy too. Well, we ran 80 grit over the whole thing. We ran 180 over the whole thing, and then we did 220. So we've pretty much DA'd to 220 everywhere. I am now going to blow it off, blow out the floor. We're going to take bring the water in here, take a Scotch-Brite with some Bunani or some, Clorox, whatever is the powdered cleaner, and you basically scrub everything with that, because at that point what that's doing is it's, one, getting rid of any greases and oils that might be on it, and then the Scotch-Brite's helping prep and clean, and then you can get into the little corners and edges, and then I'll come back with 220 and I'll hand sand some of those edges like that and get that cleaned up and do kind of a dry sand after that. So let me close up the booth, turn on the blower and blow this out, and we'll go from there. Alright, we got her all blown off. Now we're going to take some water and start spraying her down. Now I know some people are like, you got bare metal right here and you got raw filler and you don't want to get filler wet. You should prime it first, and then, yeah, well, you can blow it off, get it good, but you also can't get it cleaner than washing it now. I'm not going to be, soaking it underwater. Water's going to be running down on the filler sides, and then I'll probably do a dry Scotch-Brite after the fact. Once I get it wet and water, washed down, we'll take and hose her down. Let the hose catch up. I'm not going to use the pressure washer. I don't need to really get too aggressive right now. I'll probably fire up the pressure washer when I go to clean this stage off. So basically go down, get the whole thing just wet. Then I take the Bunami, you put a little on your Scotch-Brite. You take your Scotch-Brite to your panel and you put about as much elbow grease as you can in it, and you go right up against your edges with your fingers, and you go up across the top edge, you go in here, and yes, I just skipped a bunch, but you can even see the color. See, you already have color starting to come out. That's brown on top of my finger if you can't tell. That's literally washing color off already. And so you just go everywhere and you hit everything. You take your thumbnail, you get right in those corners, you work those corners, and you go around this whole thing. This is going to take me a few hours, so I am going to start doing this, rinsing, soaping, and I'll show you when it gets past that point. So as I'm scrubbing the roof up here from 1987, this roof doesn't really have much left for paint in it. I've already got the other side, so same thing, we'll just sprinkle some of this down and then we scrub like mad. Now this used to have some roof racks, so there's some holes here that could have gotten, you know, welded closed and that. There's also a bang bang boomstick rack that's bolted in the center that holds up that, kind of puts some dimples in the roof. So I put some seam sealer over those and seam sealer over the old holes. I don't care that, you know, I could have welded and body filled and worked this roof. No one's gonna see it. And at some point I do think I might put another roof rack on top of this, but just kind of wanted to show how that paint is pretty much faded to gone, to where once you take the scrubber and you scrub this and you blend that all out. There's also a product called Blend Prep that you can use that you can basically do the same thing. It's kind of just a cleaning device that you take your Scotch-Brite and you prep across. That's sold in auto body stores, but you know, this stuff in the home cleaner grocery store product works just the same, works really good. And then when we get done with this whole thing, we will take and clean this with soap and water. We will not use, I won't use like automobile, I'm not going to use automobile soap. I'm literally just going to use a little Dawn dish soap, because it's back to degreasing and cleaning, getting all the corners and crevices. We also take this and open the doors, get all the door jambs, get everything that way so there's no dust or dirt that can blow back when you're painting. I'm also going to, after it's painted, I am going to do the jambs very crudely. Just turn the gun way down like an airbrush, and you just kind of Scotch-Brite it, wipe it off, and just dust the inside jambs with some color, because I am going to a different color, and trying to make it look very period, but kind of mountainy cool, kind of my mountain truck. Oh, my arms are getting tired. So even after sanding with 220 and 80, and you see these lines, it's kind of thinking of the camera to pick them up. You see these lines right here where just the weather of this, you know, paint from 1987 was just eating away. As I was Scotch-Briting it, one of the other things that Scotch-Brite does is you can kind of see the lines now, like there. As I was sanding, I can feel those. So they're just slightly on top of the paint, or you can feel them because that's the old clear coat, that's the base coat, and that's the primer. So the thickness of that paint is still wrinkly through there. So after this is dried off, before I go to the cleaning stage, I am going to hit this again with the DA and 220 and level that off. You can see over here where it's kind of gone and you don't feel that, and you can actually kind of see the DA marks that kind of ate that down and leveled it to a uniform. And also, as it's clean, if you look back and forth, you can see a small little dimple in the door right there. But this also has the mirror that bolts here that kind of flexes the door. I don't care. It looks fine. I mean, with it wet, you see how smooth this is. I'm actually amazed for a Ram Charger from 1987 how straight this thing is. Yes, the other side was a little rough, but honestly, the guy, they used to 4x with it and play with it, and to not have it every fender messed up, they tipped it on this side and crushed this side and put a fender and a door on it, and they don't fit perfectly. My body work is far from ideal. I basically at this point have 2 days into the body work on that left rear fender, and I'm okay with it. At this point, all I'm going to do is wash, clean it again. It's Sunday, and maybe after work every night this week I'll mask on it and prep on it a little bit more so that I'm ready for paint next weekend, and I'll paint it next weekend, and we'll kind of show the process and the idea of what we're doing. Well, there we are, Scotch-Brited twice. Now we will soap, water, and wash clean. You can see, well, there's a couple spots that I already lightly sanded. Some of these bare metal spots surfaced will start to just turn gold where they're starting to kind of rust, and you just hit them with a dry Scotch-Brite after it's been cleaned and blown off. But now that, you know, there's residue and everything over the whole thing, so now we have to wash it 2 times to get all that completely off. Like I said, we'll use more of a detergent than automotive soap. Well, second soap and water. I'm going to pressure wash and pretty much call it a night. So that's it clean. Clean up on the roof. Close this down up here. It's the following weekend, a little chilly Saturday, and light on. Welcome to the shop. I've been fighting a stupid cold, haven't been feeling too wonderful. She's still prepped and ready like it was last week. Haven't touched it. Heat's been on for a little bit in the shop, warming the place up. So we're going to start masking, start getting him ready. Got some primers and sealer. We'll move all these parts out of here from the Ford, and we'll throw some color on this today. Hopefully get it looking pretty decent. We'll take it to the woods and go beat on it. But I'll start showing some of the masking, some processes through. Basically, there's just a lot of masking because I'm not stripping trim and stuff off. I'm just going to mask everything off. So you got to mask everything from the stainless trim to the windows to the windows to the walls. Oh, never mind. Yeah. So you know what I got to do. I'm still trying to decide if I want to airbrush these inner jambs, and it's a brown interior, so I think the inner jambs brown would work on the back would be fine, but the front, because these doors, well, this door is white and that door is brown, it really doesn't match the outside, so I am going to double mask the interior and paint this with the doors open so that I can do the jambs and do the outside all at the same time. And I'll slowly show that process. And then if my engine ever gets belt, I'll stick its new engine in it. We also need to sweep and clean the floor so we're not blowing dust and dirt when we're painting. We're far from finished masking, but I figured I'd step a little process. Got some of the chrome done, windows done, get the doors. You typically want to have paper because when you're overspray and masking, the paint hits this, it stays and goes. When paint hits plastic, the second time you hit it, that there's a possibility it can flake and blow off. And so you want to make sure that you use paintable plastic if you use plastic. I've got the inside done here. I still have to do the inner jam so that I can, because I am going to paint these jams at the same time. Got the back mast off, all the trims done across that way. I am basically kind of on the passenger side now, so we've started on this fender. Still have to get all the little chromes. Well, those, yeah, you can take all this chrome off and replace all the clips, and that's not the paint job we're going for. This is just a, good driver. So we have this side left to do, so I'm going to turn on some of my side lights here and keep masking this side down. And then we got to blow it off, clean it off, wipe it off, and saturate this thing with 2 coats of sealer, and then we'll start putting color. Well, there she is, all fully masked. We've been wiping it down now with basically a surface cleaner. Gets all oils and greases and fingerprints and things that way. Too heavy cleaning of that. After this, it gets wiped down 2 full times. Then we'll take some water, mop the floor down, get the floor wet, and I'll start putting primer on. There we are. First coat of sealer. It's officially all one color. Dun, dun. We'll get second coat on here. I'm going to let it flash. A couple little spots I want to address in hand sand before our next coat, so I'll let this tack up a little bit more. Well, there's our green. I opened it up so I could spray a little green down around the edges of the hood. Close this down. That's our green top. Green around the doors. Our jams are even done. So there's our doors. Jammed inside. So it'll hang open like that, then dry. And tomorrow we'll come back. We're going to mask from here down. We're going to be spraying the center section. That's why that's a little splotchy. I also took and sprayed a little green paint on the door panels. We'll take the door panels and mask those off, and then they're going to get sprayed tan, the same color as the center section. So the tan that we're spraying in here is really close to the same color that the interior already is. But that's our door jambs. All sprayed at one time. Once this is dry, we'll demask it and remask it tomorrow. I'm going to leave it up under the heat, let this heater just pump down on it, and I'll show you tomorrow. But that's the end of today. Half our green done. Well, it's Sunday. We've going to start closing it up, masking off the jams. I've already kind of got this side going a little bit. So I already jammed off the back side, so we're getting the gap cleaned up there. This has been masked off, so you see inside there, you can see the tape. So the overspray that will go through there will get that edge. And this is all sealed up, so I'm still going to take and lightly sand the center area just before we go to paint it. But yeah, I'll come in here, we'll come across here, I'll put tape right up down that edge, tape that up, close the doors so that the tan color coming this way won't get overspray on my nice clean new shiny green doors. Let's get some tan on it. It'll look like something. Still only looks a little wavier on that side, but I think what you're also seeing is kind of the splotchiness. I only very lightly dusted the green paint on this panel. There is the first coat of the tan. I gotta honestly say, I really like it. We also took the door panels and I sprayed those center panels the green and then sprayed them the tan too. Very cool. Well, there she is. The tan is still tacky, but I threw the trim on it, put it together so we can get a good look at it. YouTube certified. Yeah, right. I'm happy with it. The bodywork isn't perfect, but you can look down. The paint has a pretty decent shine to it. Remember, this mirror had the 90s kind of clunky mirror on, so I really love the old school 80s mirrors that were on it. So now the passenger side matches the driver side. Of course, the passenger side are nice stainless steel tubes. These were some old mirrors I had floating around on another truck. I just wire brushed them off and rattle canned them chrome. The factory trim is, you know, a little rough, but looks absolutely fine. I can't find this trim, so this is just double stick tape chromie that's on there, which will look just fine going down the road. This back area is still a little dented and rough, but it'll work. The turret panels are a little soft set, so you really have to handle them to hang them and clip them in, so I'm not going to put the door panels in yet. The back two-tone came out nice. I've got it wrapped around that way. I brought it up off that bottom edge just because I kind of like that little bit of green stripe at the very bottom. Brought it around from inside. My door jambs came out good. They're masked all the way down. Nice little two-tone with a stripe through there. Those door panels are going to match really nice with the dash tan. The tan of the interior is going to clean up. I do need to put matching seat covers on. Need to scrub and clean the carpets yet. But that got the nice green edge up on the top edge in here. I put new locks in it. So now we have good locks, good closing edges. Our body line is straight. I'm pleasantly happy with it. As soon as we get the new engine stuffed in her, take her for a rip. This was supposed to be my winter beater. Drive it every day in the winter time. Take it to work and back. So having the engine blow a few months ago and wipe the cam out in its brand new engine was very disappointing. I didn't even want to paint it. I was going to paint it with the new engine in, but had a little bit extra time this weekend, so I wanted to do something. So there's our paint job. Now I gotta clean up garbage, clean up paint, put away everything, get this put away. Hope everyone had a great weekend. That's the Ram Charger.